Hello. So I'm going to get the links and share them so people know that I am live. Let's go here to discussion. All right, post. So for those of you who are actually in here, give me just a few minutes. Let's see, we have, I need to go to Twitter. Okay. I think I've covered it. All right. Let me get back to my YouTube live control room. All right. Hello. Am I ready for NaNoWriMo? Oh, NaNoWriMo's not until November. But I plan on getting some things ready. I've been cleaning up in here and rearranging a few things. I moved my computer back to this desk in front of the window. So you are seeing me via natural light, which is why my white shirt is glowing. And I moved my craft table back. I'm probably going to break out the really big tripod again. But I have rigged something so that I can go live sometimes with the journal with ease. I hope. I'm going to try it out. Patreon's going to be my guinea pig. But I'm still cleaning. I have a mess down here. I'm going to go through some things. I have all kinds of things. So NaNoWriMo, I'm probably going to start planning next month, actually. I want to get some things done for my witchy business novel. I really want to finish that novel, and the only way I'm going to finish it, this eyebrow always looks smaller than this eyebrow because this one has gray in it. So somebody requested I talk a bit about self-doubt and imposter syndrome and creative block. I'm going to talk about it in general as a writer, as an artist, as a creative person, creative projects, all that good kind of stuff, because I think it's really important. One of the best books I've found so far about this, is Shut Your Monkey. Shut Your Monkey by Danny Gregory is a really, really good book. He talks about the monkey on your back, self-doubt, your inner critic, that imposter syndrome comes from that. All of this is related to fear. I can do a review on it, a real review, once I've finished reading the book, but I am right about why the monkey hates creativity. But so far, it has been probably one of the best books that I've read that has to do with self-doubt and stuff like that. He calls it out, does a really good job of talking about it. Julia Cameron goes over imposter syndrome and self-doubt and fear and all of that in The Artist's Way. Big Magic, I think, is the book by Elizabeth Gilbert. I haven't read that book yet, but she goes over it. I don't have that book. It's on my wish list. But there are a lot of different books out there that address the issue. I don't think we ever get rid of it, to be honest. I go through periods where I feel really confident and my self-esteem is right up there. You know, self-confidence and self-esteem are a little bit different. Self-confidence is how we feel about ourselves, no matter what, by ourselves, when we're all alone. But self-esteem sometimes has to do with how we feel about ourselves in comparison to others, around others. I wrote it down. Yeah, how we feel about our abilities in the face of others when somebody gives us negative feedback. So I don't know. I think I fall into that trap sometimes of comparing myself. I compare myself to my old self sometimes too. So it's not just like way back 30 something years ago when I was in school, I was actually really good. And then I took a 30-year hiatus from art and I don't know, like almost a 20-year hiatus from writing. I wrote poetry, but I didn't write really, and it didn't really write fiction. And I think both of those, that long hiatus really affected my confidence. Hey, it affected my confidence when it comes to art and to writing. And taking such a long break. When I was in high school, they wanted me to go to art school. I wanted to go to journalism school. I didn't go to either one. I ended up going to work for a bank. And then I didn't go to college until my 30s. So I got married and had kids and worked in the regular world without a degree and took college classes here and there and here and there. And taking college classes expanded my horizons. But I always thought as art more as the hobby and writing as what I wanted to do full time. And over the last year or two, that's kind of taken a turn because now writing is my passionate hobby and art is my in my face every day. Helps with my anxiety and it's my full-time thing. But I think all the things that are creative are really my passion. So I find myself writing more when I create more art. And the more I write, the more I want to create art. So I try really hard not to compare myself to others. I try really hard to not let the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome, that voice that says, you don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing this. You need to quit because you're never going to make it. You're, you know, I think that voice sometimes plagues a lot of us if we're creative. And I don't think there's a surefire fix to it. I don't think there's a quick fix. I don't think there's a way to completely get rid of it. I think some days we do really well. And I think every now and again we have bad days, even the best of us. So all I can suggest, because I haven't gotten rid of it, I still deal with it sometimes, is to continue to do, even when you don't want to do. Because one of the biggest things about fear is fear. Fear is the enemy. It's that our fear is our big enemy. And if you take one little step towards doing anyway, you feel a little bit better. And the more you do, you feel better. And the more you do, and the more you do, and the more you do. So I don't know. That's how I do it. On the days when I am like, oh no, I suck at this. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm reminded on a consistent basis by other people that somebody admires my work, or that somebody got back into journaling, or that somebody got back into writing, or somebody got back into something creative because I inspired them to do so. So even if my work sucks, at least I'm inspiring people, you know. And I'm okay. But you know what I mean? I mean, that's the truth of it, I think, is that we find ourselves in a place where, you know, we can either forge ahead and try, or we can crawl in a corner and go watch Netflix and binge on movies or TV shows on Netflix. Now, there's nothing wrong with watching Netflix. But I think if you put off the things you really want to do and you kind of sulk, if you procrastinate, it just gets harder to do. It gets a lot harder to do. So I find myself sometimes being sucked into that. So a lot of times, because Mr. Rockstar, that he likes watching TV, we watch movies and TV shows and stuff together. So I grab my journal. Thanks. I take my cart, I wheel it into the living room, and I'll take my journal. And while we watch TV, I'll journal. Now that I have a laptop that works, I can take my laptop in the living room and I can write a blog post, which I'm very behind on. I can write for my novel. I can do a lot of other things. I'm more mobile and I'm not stuck in this room at the desktop anymore with writing. And that has been a big thing. I've actually been on the laptop doing stuff. I've got a blog post right now I need to add pictures to and get it up. So once I'm done with this, where can you donate? In the description, there is a thing. If you want to buy coffee, you can donate as much as you want to there. If you want, you can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks. So the great thing about being creative, does anybody have any questions? The great thing about being creative is that you can put your finger in a lot of different cookie jars. You can have a hobby. You can find something that relaxes you. And I tend to read and I tend to write and I tend to draw and journal, and I like DIY projects. One of the things they had this on sale and I got this for Victor so that we can both sit at the dining room table. This was down from like $10 to $3 something at Aldi's. And I like getting him things that will help him be creative. And I'm like, you know, they need I have an easel. And so now we can both work on an easel kind of thing. He has a big one in his house, but at his home, but his mom is an artist too, and he likes art, but he tends to only want to do it here. So he's all wanting to be outside at school, and he wants to play at recess, and he wants to do stuff at home that's different than what he does here. And maybe that's because I sit down with him. Art is fantastic. I think any kind of art is a great way to learn more about yourself, to help. It helps me with anxiety, and it helps me. It doesn't keep the depression away, but it does help me. It does help me adjust better, and it does help me balance things more being creative. So I like being creative in a whole bunch of different ways. So like I said, I've been rearranging things and I'm cleaning things up. I had to. I just couldn't take it anymore. Every time I turned around, I was trying to figure out how I could do the live video with a journal in front of me without, I'm right-handed. And the way that I had everything set up, it was actually hovering over right where my hand would be. So you wouldn't be able to see what I'm writing or what I'm journaling. Now I have the camera to the left of me, so it will hopefully face more that way, so that when I try to do things, you'll actually be able to see. And I have 2 webcams. And unfortunately, they're the exact same webcam. So when I finagle with the OBS thing or whatever, I have to actually unplug the one webcam when I just want this one. But when I do both, I have to actually go in OBS. So I'm going to play around with OBS more. Hopefully our internet will stay pretty decent for a while. And I'll be able to practice some more with OBS so I can do video and video. Because I like that, where you can actually see me a little and you can see that I'm talking and hear me. Not that if I'm creating art, I'm really going to be all that talkative, because I'm one of those people that can walk, chew gum, and all kinds of, but I cannot art and talk at the same time. Cannot art and talk at the same time. So, yeah. So y'all have to excuse the mess, because I have books and all kinds of things stacked everywhere in here. Because, like I said, I've been cleaning and revamping things. I'm still finding little pieces of paper and thread from where I made my own notebooks. I have some video footage I'm going to put together, and I'm going to do it Wednesday because I have the Scribbles That Matter set up, the little B6, and I'm going to do a proper review of it. It's the cutest little bullet journal notebook, y'all. It's the cutest little notebook. I mean, if you don't bullet journal, it's the cutest little notebook if you like B6 and you know how to get read. One of the other things is I'm back in the Omni Journal, and I think I've been watching videos and perusing Pinterest for making your own journals. Coptic. Somebody has got to tell me how the heck you pronounce that. Stitching and kettle stitching. And I don't know which one I said now first. Coptic. Yeah, I don't know. A stitch bound notebook. Coptic, I guess, is the right one. I think I said that one second this time. But I've been perusing Pinterest. Right now, I have in a tab this website called Vintage Page Designs, a New England book art studio. Punching cradle tutorial. And then the other one she's got is 10 tips for creating handmade books on a budget. Her website is awesome. Awesome. If you're interested in making your own notebooks or journals or sketchbooks or whatever, I don't know. I tend to call notebooks that I just I write in, just like notes, lists, that kind of stuff. I call those notebooks. And anything that is a journal that I'm going to be doing art or journaling in, like real journal keeping, I just call that a journal. So I guess they're all technically notebooks in a way, but I don't. So anyway, yeah, I need more coffee, y'all. I've been so busy this morning that this is actually my first real cup of coffee. I had a little cup when I first made it, and then I got really busy and had to go by the bank and had to do a couple of things. And then I came back here and I got so busy cleaning that what I ended up drinking was V8 Infusion Energy Peach Mango. And I was thirsty. And we don't drink piles and messes. Yes. How do you stick with a journal and not give up? Oh, that's a good question, because for a while there, I wasn't sticking with a journal. I think it's because I was, there were only a couple of journals that I was actually able to stick to. But it was an emotional thing for me. I think it was perfectionism at its core that was stopping me from completing a journal. When my dad died, I wanted to do something for myself to kind of motivate me, because A5 at that point was just too much. It was too overwhelming. I do 2-page spreads, and that was just too much page. And I kept looking at it going, oh God. So that's when I contacted Bree, who's actually in here. And I wanted to get a notebook made. And it's back there, actually. It's right back there. And I wanted something special, wanted something that spoke to me. And she worked with me, and I got a sketchbook, and I got a prototype, and with Tomoe River paper in it. And I used my sketchbook. I started the first day I got them, I started, and I did the same thing kind of in both notebooks. And I finished the prototype, which was smaller than the sketchbook. And I did illustrated my day in that one. So I was doing journal keeping where you kind of write about your day. And I was creating little bits of art, putting little bits of collage stuff in there. And at first I was hesitant, because I'm like, oh my God, my handwriting sucks, y'all. When I write with no line or no dot or no, my handwriting slants. And I'm like, this is going to be horrible. You know, this is going to be horrible. But it wasn't. At least I was more and more motivated to do it. And the more that I did it, the more excited I got about it. And when I got towards the end, when I got like close to the end, I was like, I need another journal. I finished it. And that was one of the most exciting moments for me, because I was at a point in my life where I wasn't even sure I wanted to journal. Not with the mindset that I had. When you're grieving, you either tend to write a whole lot or draw a whole lot or be very creative, or you tend to be stuck and blocked. And I kind of wavered, you know, between the two, because I'm creative for a living. I'm on Patreon and YouTube, so I have to do stuff. I have to, you know, I had to force myself to do things. But the more that I forced myself to show up and to actually do the things, and I had a journal that I was really excited about. Accountability was part of it. Wanting to see, you know, how a new journal would work, something that was actually made especially for me, made it special. And having something special and wanting to be accountable helped. And the next journal I finished was mixed paper with mixed media and Tomoe River paper and some vellum stuff in there. And when I finished that one, it was like a chunky monkey. And I finished that whole thing. And that was like huge. I took a picture of it and put it all over the place. And part of it is the journal. If you are going to really journal, and hello, if you really want to journal, whether you're adding art or you're just writing, whatever kind of journaling you do, you got to love that journal. For some people, they want certain kinds of paper. For other people, it doesn't matter the kind of paper. Some people use composition notebooks and glue the pages together. I care about what journal I use for different reasons, but it's your journal. Pick whatever kind of notebook works for you, but you need to love it. That means you need to decorate the cover, or you need to order one, save up money, whatever you need to do, you need to love that journal. You need to love it because you're going to be in it all the time. I'm good. How are you? You need to love that journal. It's like a sketchbook. If we put or when we're working on a novel, or when we're working on a bit of poetry, whatever, if you have certain expectations of what you're doing and you limit yourself in those expectations, okay, I'm going to give an example of a sketchbook because I did this to myself. I had this one sketchbook and I was like, well, I'm only going to do this in it. I set myself up for failure because I'd find myself wanting to be creative and then looking all around for a sketchbook where I could just be creative in, because I had given this sketchbook or that sketchbook or this notebook like a limited purpose, you know, like this sketchbook I'm only going to do ink sketches in, or this sketchbook I'm only going to do outdoor sketches in, or I'm only going to do birds in, you know. Not that I don't still, like, I have a journal that is primarily for writing. I just made my own journals. And what journal do you recommend for someone on an extreme budget? I just heard really good things about one of the notebooks at Michael's. It's their dot grid imitation bullet journal kind of thing. I actually heard that their paper is really good. Thanks, thumbs up. Yeah. When I first started, I went to Michael's and I got a Fabriano insert. They're not expensive. And they're really, it's actually pretty decent paper. But if you really want something on a budget, I'm trying to think of what paper, you know, to be honest, I'd go to Walmart or to Michael's. And if you go to Michael's, you can use a coupon. If you go to Walmart, maybe you can find some decent. I'd get a Canson mixed media sketchbook, to be honest. They're not expensive. Don't get a drawing sketchbook, because if you're actually going to do watercolor on it, it's not going to hold up. But the mixed media paper will. And you could actually make your own journal out of that mixed media paper that you get in the Canson. As a matter of fact, this is the one that I tore paper out of to make my own sketchbook. I got this. And if you fold this in half, it's pretty much A5. So I get this. And mixed media paper is awesome for watercolor. You can write on it. If I knew back then what I know now, I'd have made my own. And you don't actually even have to sew it. If you wanted to, you could just take it. Of course, I'm going to rip it, and it's not going to do like it's supposed to do. I have a friend who sometimes does this. You can make it, you can cut it, but you can take it and you can fold over pages and put it in a TN, and you don't even have to staple it or stitch it or anything until you get to a point where you're ready to, you know. But you, Canson, you use it in your junk journal and handmade traveler's notebooks. You could actually cut it, and you could fold it this way. Once you cut it, and then you could fold it this way, and you'd have, like, I think that's about A6. But you could use a stapler. You could staple them together. You can do a quick stitch. What is that stitch called? It's just an in out stitch, and stitch them together if you wanted to. If you're going to stitch them together, though, I wouldn't use more than about anywhere from 3 to 6 pieces of these. Or if you want them thicker, you can. But what's going to happen is the more you put together, the less the edges are going to, like, fit. I don't know. Bree can answer that question better than I can. She's been making them a lot longer than I have. I just know at a certain point, the thicker the paper, the more you put into a signature, the less it folds right, like along the edge. But if you make it bigger to begin with, and then you cut it down to the size you want, unless you don't care about that, so that's up to you. But I would choose this. You just kind of wanted a pretty cute journal. Okay, the other thing that you can do is, you see this paper on the back of this? You know those regular notebooks that we buy our kids for school? This is chipboard. Like, you could actually make a journal cover out of this and then put it around this, and you'd have your own journal. I liked making my own journal. I know some people who don't staple them. I know some people who who staple them. I know some people who don't do anything to them. They just fold them. I know some people who stitch them. I know some people who go to Michael's and buy they have sketchbooks that, I would check the paper though. I know sketching paper, I think it's one of them's better than the other. Is it sketching paper is better than drawing paper, or drawing paper is better than sketching paper? I don't like really either one of those much. I like mixed media paper and watercolor paper and Tumbleway River paper. Yeah. Yeah. Mixed media, watercolor, and Tumbleway River paper. That's the paper I use. And that's because they're all conducive to watercolor. And that's what I use is watercolor. Mixed media and watercolor paper and Tumbleway River paper will pretty much hold up to most mixed media. I'm not a big fan of acrylics, so I know a mixed media paper is really good for acrylics. Other than that, you'd have to ask somebody who does acrylics, because I don't like the stickiness of acrylic. So, yeah. But I mean, as far as journals go, you can make your own. Start it with, if you've got sketchbooks already, take the paper out of them. If you don't like it, if it has this kind of thing and you don't want this kind of thing, take the paper out and make your own. Bree just put a video up, Documented Journey on YouTube. She just did a thing about how she makes them, but there other videos. C Lemon has a bunch of videos. There's a bunch of people that have videos about how to make simple notebooks, simple sketchbooks. So if you can't find what you want for the price that you need, make your own. Make your own. And if you don't have an awl, use a nail. Or a stick pin, a tack, something that has a sharp point to it. And I used my phone book to, but there's all different kinds of ways to make them. But just know that when you're first making them, they're not going to look as pretty as somebody who's been making them for a while. I had to completely revamp the covers on mine. You love your notebook from Bree? I love all my notebooks from Bree. I have a collection of them. And the only reason I tried to make my own is because, I wanted to make my own because she encouraged me to try it. I like DIY projects, and I really wanted to make my own sketchbook, but I still wanted my notebook from Bree. Well, then Bree said, no, make your own, try it. So if I don't buy any more notebooks from her, y'all, I will still buy some stickers. But she is the reason I am actually able to make my own notebooks, because she and David encouraged me to do it. And I kept looking at my notebook that she made, and I'm looking at it, and I would look at it, and I was going, my notebook is not looking like this, but I kept watching the videos, and I kept watching the videos. And then of course I finished my notebooks, and I finally revamped covers, and then she comes out with her video about how she makes them. Yes, I know, practice, practice, practice. But I am getting better at it. I will. I'm going to make some more come November. Like I did, completely redid the cover. I wish now I'd have moved this up some. But yeah. So I will say that now that I've redone it, I'm still going to have that same issue until I've got to get some elastic and do some MacGyvering. I love you too. But you don't know until you try. And I might, the next time I make them, I might go, okay, well, I've mastered this. And be even better at it. Or I might make another one and go, I think I'll stick with making the sketchbooks, and I'll just let Bree make my notebooks. It just depends on, not all of us enjoy that kind of thing. If it becomes more of a frustration than a making me happy thing, then, making the sketchbook was fun. It was easy because it was watercolor paper. But dealing with Tomaway River paper and sewing, not so fun. You have some just composition. You don't have anything cute for your art journaling. I'm telling you. They have the smaller versions of these. Depending on what size you want. But, I do practice in here. I do, got some blank... but it holds up well. And the reason this doesn't have much paper in it is because this is where I got all my paper from to make my sketchbook. Okay, y'all are sorry you're seeing my butt. So this is the first one that she made me. And this is just mixed media paper, and it's my sketchbook. This is a sketchbook I made, but it's my practice one. And this is, this is going to be where I'm actually doing urban sketching, where I go out and sketch. And then this is, I am almost finished with this one. This is my current, I'm almost finished Illustrate My Day journal. Those are the ones Bree made. I like decorating the covers. I do a bit of collage. I'll show you in a second. That's what I did here. This is that chipboard like you saw. This came out of one of the sketchbooks and I used it. And I put collage bits and little bits I drew and all kinds of stuff on there. Things from Flow magazine, things from other magazines, scrapbook paper, and as I go, I can put more stickers on there. And this is a mixture of watercolor paper and mixed media paper. And I left the edges, I tore the edges, but I haven't done much in this other than draw a couple things. I haven't watercolored it. It is so chunky. It is. But it's 9 signatures with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 signatures with 1, 2, 3, 9 signatures with 3 to 4 pieces of paper. So we'll average 9 times 3. So 9 times 4, actually. I think it has 56 to 58 pages in it. This one. And this is, but my other journal, this is 100 pages. And look, but this is because this has watercolor in it. But my goal, because I use red string, is to be able to show my binding and not mess up the cover like I did with mine. And have, let's see that binding? Look at how pretty. That's what I want. That color in there is my watercolor, y'all. But, you know, I'm still figuring things out. But I don't think I did bad, because once I put the covers on my journals, once I did the cover, like decorating the cover, I decorated this one. This one actually is a recycled cover that I had done on a piece of paper and then stuck it to with glue that could go on or off. And then I put it on the front of this journal. And then I just used a piece of red cardstock for the back of here. And I'll just add stickers and stuff as I go. And I did washi tape because I had to do something. I had to redo the covers to get those price and quality wise. The one I'm showing, which one? Are you talking about like these? Are the ones I made myself? Are you talking about the mixed media paper? Which because I showed a lot. I showed some I made, and I showed some Bree made, and then I have this, and then I have the Hobonichi, and you could use the Stology. The Stology is like 20 something. I think it used to be cheaper. They've gone up on journals. Have y'all noticed that? I've been doing this now for like 3 or 4 years, and when I first started this, the Stology didn't cost anything, next to nothing. A lot of people in the Hobonichi group, not the notebooks, but what you put them in. Oh, the Traveler's Notebooks. This leather. She's not making notebooks right now. This is, these were custom made. This one I bought off the buy, sell, trade group for Traveler's Notebooks. You can find them pretty cheap. You can find them pretty cheap. I want a folio, but I can't afford one yet. So I know what I want, though. I know what I want. But I would suggest, if you're not really sure about Traveler's Notebooks, if you don't know much, to join one of the buy, sell, trade Traveler's Notebooks. I'll try to put some links in the description below on Facebook. Sometimes people sell them on Instagram. But you can make your own. You can buy them cloth. You can buy them leather. How cheap? What book? It depends. Like, I got my first one from Buteo Bunker on Etsy, and his prices are reasonable. His leather is decent, and I like his leather. It's soft and it patinas well. If I were doing it all over again, I'd do the same exact thing. I would buy one from Buteo Bunker to check. Oh, it's blue. It's a dark blue and a dark wine. This is dark wine, and this is really dark blue. The light's not picking it up very well. I bought it used, and I think it's Christina's leather or something that's got a little owl imprint. So maybe somebody who knows Traveler's Notebooks better than I do, because I bought it used. Yeah, it's a TN. So yeah, it's a wine and a dark blue. But I bought it used. I didn't buy it new. I like it because it has the pockets and it has the pin loop. And if I had to, I could tuck my journal in here. But once I covered up the binding and stuff, it held up. You thought it was dark green. Nope. It's a midnight blue. And this is the color it was. It was like a different wine color. And I dyed it. I dyed it because I like the darker. I like the red undertone better than that brown undertone. You're welcome. Thank you. So I don't know. I would like to eventually get to a point where I can make these myself. I just don't know when I'm gonna have time to do all of the things that I want to do. Just don't know when I'd have time to do all of the things. I want to do all of the things. I would really like to do all of the things. You're nervous to purchase leather online. I'm too. And you know, there's nowhere here that I can buy leather from. Now I could drive to Charleston, or I could drive to Columbia and get leather, probably. There's a quilt shop here, and I think they have fabric. I might be able to get fabric from there. You haven't looked yet. See, I would like to make one myself, but David, when he's off, the next time he's off, because he's working all this week. So maybe over the weekend, we're going to get my grandmother's sewing machine out of the shed. And I'm going to see if his mom can come over and teach me how to do the bobbin and everything, because it's been 20 years since I used a sewing machine. And if I could get the needle and I could see if I could do the leather with the sewing machine, I seriously would make my own folio. Seriously would make my own folio. Yeah, it's getting the leather. And I don't know anything about leather. Purchasing leather, I don't know anything about leather. All I know is I'd have to go somewhere where I could touch it. Because if I can't touch it, I don't, you know, I'm not just I won't order leather from online like that. Now, maybe if I start hunting thrift stores and I found a leather purse that was big enough that I could get a traveler's notebook out of, I would do it that way. Because there are some leather purses you could buy from like Goodwill or thrift store, consignment store, something for next to nothing out of real leather. And then that way I'd be repurposing the leather. So that, I don't know, but that's something I've been thinking about. Because if I could find a red leather purse or a really pretty lavender one, or, you know, something, I would do it. You agree. You want to be able to feel it. You can find a leather that you know is the same as something you already have. Yeah. See, that's exactly. I would like to try making my own folio or making my own traveler's notebook. If I could make my own traveler's notebook, I think I'd make it a combination folio / traveler's notebook / something, you know, where like with the notebooks, you know, you make it to suit yourself. And I am more of a, yeah, you know, like this is a folio and I love this. This is the first one he did. And this is a bookmark. And I love this red. This came from Taroko Design, where I get my Enigmas from. And this is a pretty close match, but see, they're different colors. They're different colors. And what I want to do is what Bree did with hers. And I want to alter this with the strap inside here so that I could just use this like where my journal doesn't have to sit in the strings, because this is one of my favorites. I love the colors of this, you know. I need to clean it. I've got some glue on it. And I like this. Now I have the trifold that would be easy to do that with. And I can put this one either way. Like I can do this one this way or that way. Yes, exactly. I need elastic. I don't have any. I looked all over. Her journal covers are vegan. Delusions brand called Dialogue. Very good paper and cost effective. Oh, I have to check those out. You have a video uploaded to YouTube about it, but you're nervous. I wouldn't worry about it. Some people, you know, I wouldn't worry about it. Once you pay for it, it's yours. As long as you're not trying to sell them. But, you know, I want to, because I want to make my next sketchbook without this hard cover. And there's gesso, y'all. That's gesso. Yeah. See, this is why nobody would really want to buy mine used, because I'm not, I get glue on them. That's watercolor on there. But I need to go in and I need to wipe them down. But yeah, I don't normally buy them unless I love them. I saved up for them. There's only one that I would actually, there's only like one or two that I'd actually sell. And that's because I tried them. I wanted to love it. And I do love the way that it looks, but I it's not, it just hasn't, I don't know, you know, really wanted to connect with it. And the only reason I haven't taken it apart and redone it is because I'm not so sure. I think if I could readjust some things, I would love it, but right now I don't love it, and I haven't yet sold it, and I could sell it, but there's a couple of them that I don't love. Yeah. I've got a brown B6 by Leather quill that I have tried and tried and tried and tried. Let's see. It's under there somewhere. It's gorgeous, but I don't love it. I don't love it. I'm not a big brown person. Like when I love a brown, it's because it's got some other quality or color or something to it. Like it has a red undertone, or it's got a black undertone. It's got a weathered look. You could use your machine. Does anybody know if you use the paper to make a journal and folded it, could I use your sewing machine? Yes. Yes. I not for paper. Not for paper. I don't think you might need a little bit thicker needle, but I don't think you need like a super special one. I don't think so. But if you just wanted to sew paper, I've actually thought about sewing the Tomoe River paper, sewing the signatures with the sewing machine, and then putting them together. You know, I don't know. As long as you are just making a normal insert, not too thick. Yeah, you wouldn't want to make my chunky monkeys. You would not want to make the ones like I have, the 100, you know, with 100 pages. But if you were making like 50 pages, 25 to 50 pages, probably not if it was mixed media paper or a lighter weight paper. I don't know if I'd try it with watercolor paper. I know the inserts that I bought a couple of different times from Jenny Pinton from Planner Perfect, hers are sewn with a sewing machine. They're mixed Strathmore mixed media paper. I don't know how many sheets she has in them. I can't remember. But it's enough for a month. So they might be 60 pages. So that would be 30 pieces of paper and 60 pages. And she uses red thread in a sewing machine. I don't know what kind of sewing, but you can tell that they're sewn with a sewing machine. I mean, as long as they're not real thick. And then you could make little signatures out of them and then hand sew them together. If you wanted a thicker one, you could sew smaller signatures together and then take the signatures and push them together and then sew them together. I know that there's probably a way if I don't know. But I find the whole thing like really interesting. And I was really hesitant to make my own journals. I suffered extreme self-doubt, but I had a lot of encouragement. And then I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? I could go through and have to take all of the stitching out and completely and utterly redo it. I could screw it all up. Did that. Had to do it again. And then I just kept at it. And I noticed that I think the thing that helped me was that I just kept watching videos. The first time I screwed it all up and I was like, oh my God, I didn't line the signatures up before I poked holes in them. And I didn't keep them the way that they needed to be so that they would be lined up. Strathmore mixed media paper is better than the Canson, but Canson was what I had on hand. And I had already spent a fortune buying Tomaway River paper and stuff. So I just used my Canson. The next go round, I'll buy the Strathmore. But I just kept at it, and I kept watching the videos, and I kept watching the videos, and I kept watching. I put them on my big screen TV. I went through the Roku and watched YouTube videos, put them all in the queue on my tablet, and just watched them over and over until I got it. And I kept watching, and I kept practicing. You just have to do what works for you. And I think that it was fun. It was frustrating, but it was a lot of fun. And I'm not like, I'm okay with using leather. But I like some people want vegan stuff or vegan stuff. I'm not particularly, I'm not going to be wearing furs, but I'm okay with a lot of people that do the traveler's notebooks. They make sure, like, what was it? Jen Harvey said from Chic Sparrow, and I think somebody else said that they're not killing cows to get that's not what they're doing. So I can't remember what she said. Now, a lot of people who are vegan are probably going to be like, oh my God, and unsubscribe and hate me. But I'm not. I like meat. I eat meat. I'm not a vegan. I love vegetables. But the leather is, I think it depends on who you buy it from. And as long as they're, but for some things I can understand, a lot of people would like, I tried one that was, some other kind of leather and I didn't really like it. So that one went on to Happy Mail. Do you need to poke holes? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. You just might want to line them up. Like when you fold the paper, use something to fold down the paper so that you can see the crease so you know where to sew, or use a pencil to mark the line or something. I don't think you'd have to poke holes if you were doing it with sewing machine. I don't know. Maybe once I get the sewing machine, maybe I'll find some fabric I like and I'll make a folio out of fabric. I don't know. It's something to think about though, because I can wash the fabric. That might be a good idea for, like, say, my sketchbook where I'm going out and about everywhere, is to make one out of fabric. I don't know. That might be, something to think about, because you could make a folio, measure your notebook once you get it made, and make pockets inside of it and everything with a sewing machine. You could do whatever you wanted to if you found fabric that you liked. And they have They have, I know that you can get pleather a lot easier than you can get leather, especially if you live somewhere where, like I live, where your Michaels isn't big. Our Michaels is really little. They don't have fabric at my Michaels. They just now got water brushes, like the aqua brushes. They just now got them. For 2.5, 3.5 years, I've been asking them every other month, do you have any water brushes? Do you have any water brushes? Do you have aqua brushes? They don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And then over the last few months, they finally got them. I'm like, oh, now you finally got them. And you got a brand I don't like. So, yeah, that's the one that you had. You did a video on that notebook. They have some really good alternatives for people who don't want to buy leather. Who, for whatever their reasons are, there are some really good alternatives. I do have some cloth. I think I have 2 cloth traveler's notebooks. One is the standard size and it has coffee cups on it. And then one is Snoopy. And then I have an A5 Snoopy folio cloth one that matches my bag. It has Snoopy with a typewriter on it. And I have my writing notebook in it. But I bought this, and the lady who made these, she's not on Etsy anymore, unfortunately. She made the bag, sewed it, and then embroidered on it. I like, do you know how many times I have washed this pencil case and that journal cover? I like having them. If I could get Snoopy as the artist, I would so do the cloth cover. I would. So maybe I need to, yeah, when I get the sewing machine, maybe I need to invest in doing cloth covers for my sketchbooks, because I like having a bag like this. If I had Snoopy doing art on the front, I would make it a little bit bigger so I could actually fit my notebook in it, and I would make the cloth cover and the bag to match, and that it would all go in the one bag. You know, and that would be my to-go bag. So I'll be glad to get the sewing machine out and figure out how to use it again. Because like I said, I haven't used the sewing machine in, I don't know, 20 years. So yeah, I mean, I've hand sewn my pants when I needed to hem them, you know. So you used to use, I like cloth. Yeah. If I were doing it, Ambi, I would make the journal, and then once I got the journal together and I got it the size that I wanted, I'd measure it and then make your cover based on the size notebook you want. I wouldn't make the cover and the journal at the same time unless you know exactly what, because you want the cover to be just a hair bigger, like 1/4 of an inch or however many millimeters if you're doing metric. You want it to be a tiny bit bigger, and you want the spine to be able to adjust to the size of your notebook, especially as it expands, because if you're going to be putting stuff in it, you know you're going to have it a little bit where it's actually going to expand some. You don't know about yours. Since Christmas, you have a tad of extremely small amount of fabric. Yeah. We don't have a Hobby Lobby here. The closest Hobby Lobby is about an hour away. I've only been to a Hobby Lobby once, and I went with my cousin when I went to visit them over the summer in Atlanta or Lawrenceville or somewhere out that way in Georgia. I was visiting family, and I went with my cousin, and we went to Hobby Lobby, and I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I know we have a Hobby Lobby here somewhere, not here, but an hour away or so. Now, I'd order fabric from online, regular fabric. Like, they've got all kinds of cute Snoopy fabric, and they've got all kinds of cute coffee fabric, and, you know, if I could find the fabric that I wanted, and I would get different kinds, I would make journal covers for every season if I did them in cloth. If I did them in cloth, I would seriously make one for every season, and I would just change out my cloth covers. A lot less expensive than leather, especially if you can make your own. You live an hour away from anything. I do too. Like I said, the only thing I have here is a Michaels and a Staples. And our Michaels is really small. So like I said, they don't always have stuff. Excuse me. They don't always have what I'm looking for. You know, they don't have any of the really decent sketchbooks, not the really nice ones. They don't have, I went looking for some really big paper and I couldn't find it. You love sewing. I used to enjoy regular sewing. Like, you know, I like making easy things. And I like crocheting easy things. Like I can crochet a scarf and a blanket. Nothing that makes I can't do a circle. Couldn't do a hat, couldn't do mittens, couldn't do footies. I can't do anything that me and some straight lines with crocheting. I could do a blanket and a scarf. I don't know how to knit. I would like to learn how to knit. I used to embroidery way back in the day. I did a couple of things when I was pregnant with my son. You're in Georgia, about 30 minutes south of Atlanta. My aunt lives, or she did, in Auburn. My cousin lives in Lawrenceville, and then I have another cousin that lives close to, I want to say Six Flags or Dahlonega or somewhere like that. I think she lives close to the mountains, so I think that's Dahlonega. I'm not sure, but I have family out that way. Auburn, Athens, Lawrenceville, Dahlonega, all of that. I have family out that way. And then I have a bunch of family in Charleston in South Carolina. That's where I'm from. And I have some family. I have some family in Hilton Head and some family in Edisto. A bunch of places in South Carolina, but I think, yeah, I think out of state, most of my family lives out in Georgia, out that way. So everybody else is either in Charleston or somewhere in South Carolina for the most part. So, y'all, I've been on here for over an hour. Can you believe that? I've been on here for over an hour. But it's nice. I like doing these live coffee chats where we can kind of talk about all different kinds of things. And for those of you who are watching the replay, we've been talking about all kinds of stuff. But I'm going to give, like, I guess, about 5 or 10 minutes or so for questions. And then I'm going to go because I have a blog post to finish and I have a video to film for tomorrow because I now have Victor on Wednesdays and Fridays after school. I will be picking him up from his bus stop and bringing him home with me. So I'm going to be a very busy grandmother, a very busy person. You know, in the last 3 to 5 years, we have gotten Hobby Lobby and Joann's and had a Michael. Okay. Yeah, we got Starbucks a few years ago. We've got a super Walmart and then 2 grocery store Walmarts within the county. I like going to the next county over, though, which is only about 4 or 5 minutes further away than the big Walmart here. I like going to the big Walmart there, which is just a little bit further because they're nicer there and they have more. Family in Georgia, Alabama, Charleston. I don't like the Michaels here. I go because I have to sometimes, you know, with the coupons. But it's getting to the point now where I'm ready to use my coupons online and just find what I want online from Michaels when I do use the coupons. Just do it that way. David bought me a pajama set from Walmart. I had it on when I did Patreon's video. It says coffee and online shopping. And then the little shorts that go with it have a bunch of coffee cups on it. And because he's like, that is so you. And I think for most things, I like online shopping because it's easier. Because I don't have that much here and have to drive at least an hour to an hour and a half away to go somewhere where I could buy that stuff. But for some things, like if I were buying leather, I have to touch it. I don't think I could order leather online. I want to be able to touch it. I want to go in there and feel it and roll it and smell it, you know, and see what it's like before I go investing in it, you know. So, yeah. I live in a small town. Actually, I live in a small city, big town. So, yeah, I live in a small city, big town. You even buy groceries online. I don't know if they have where you can buy groceries out where I live yet. I do most of my grocery shopping at Aldi's, and then I do the other part at Walmart. Because there's some things that Aldi's doesn't carry. But most of the time I do my grocery shopping at Aldi's. I can spend half of the amount and get double the stuff at Aldi's. And most of their stuff is organic. You think that some leather, Tandy will send samples of leather. Tandy? I'll check into that, John. If I could get some samples of leather. San Antonio, Texas, and you prefer online shopping. Too much traffic. Oh, I can imagine. I've been to San Antonio. My ex-husband was an Army brat. His family's originally from Puerto Rico, but his mom and his stepdad settled in Copper's Cove, right outside of Fort Hood? Fort something. Anyway, right outside of Killeen, Texas. And I've been to San Antonio and Austin and Killeen and Copper's Cove, and I've actually been to Louisiana and quite a few other places with my best friend. She was in the Air Force for 23 years. Yeah, Fort Hood. That's where his stepdad retired from. So he went to high school out that way and everything. So I've been I've been all the way up and down the East Coast, and I've been all the way to Texas that way. And then in the middle, I've only gotten as far as Indiana. So I need to go. David's sister, his oldest sister, lives in Utah. We want to go visit her. And when I'm in Utah, I'm going to see about visiting Amy. I don't know. I want to do some kind of more of a bigger city, lots more stores. Yeah. We're getting more traffic. We have an Air Force base here, and we have some Army people here. So we've actually built up since they added the Army. It's actually built up. So, but it's still a small city and a medium to big town. It's not a small town, but it is definitely got a small town feel. And we live right outside the city limits. So I'm technically in the country, which is why, like, even though I've been waiting for 2 years now to get fiber optic internet, I still have a home phone. My home phone, I've got to get a new one though, because my little inexpensive $10 Dollar General phone that you can just, pick up and dial doesn't work anymore. So I need to get a new one. When we had the storms really bad last year and the flooding, my internet didn't work, our power didn't work, but my phone still worked, my home phone. So until we get fiber optics, I'm stuck with having a home phone, because that's our internet. Is through the local phone company. We don't have cable. We do Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and Antenna TV. And we pay probably about the same that we would be paying with the cable company, except that the cable company really pissed my husband off. And they put holes in the outside of our brick of our house. And they put a big dent in our wall when they were doing all their work. We had cable for a little while. They gave us the wrong box. They overcharged us. And finally, my husband was like, you can kiss my. And we went with Antenna TV and Hulu and Netflix. And yeah. You did 2 trips this year. First trip, you went to Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Idaho, California, Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming. Wow. I need to close online. Michigan, Canada, New York. Wow. I want to travel more. I went a lot of places with David over the road. Like, we went to Maryland and went to Ohio, and I didn't go with him when he went to Texas, but I went to Mississippi and Alabama and New Jersey. I went to New Jersey. We were in Baltimore and Maryland and up north in Ohio and all during like the winter with all of the snow. We went to PlannerCon in San Francisco. Oh, wow. I've never been to California. I haven't been to the middle of the state. So I've been nowhere near like Oregon or Wyoming or any of those places. Like I said, the furthest I got was Indiana. I have a cousin that lives out there. She got married out there, and I went for her wedding. And Dave and I want to go to Utah to see his sister. But when I was over the road, when I went over the road with Dave, I went to a lot of places. So I got to see a lot of stuff. It's beautiful. I'm not a fan of living in the South my whole life. When you get up there, up north in the middle of winter, whoo, the snow. We stepped out of the truck at the rest area, right where you park, and just the walk from the truck to the rest area to go to the bathroom, that it was like something below zero. And I was like, oh, it hurt to breathe. It hurt to breathe. My hands and my face were like, I was like, okay, no, I'm okay with every once in a blue moon getting some snow. Y'all have a good one. I got to go too. I didn't really get any questions, so I'm going to go. I've redone my setup. I'm going to talk about that pretty soon. I think Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday, maybe I'll show the planner stuff, and Friday, maybe I'll show the journal stuff. I want to get back to posting videos on YouTube on a regular basis. I just needed kind of a break for a little bit to kind of catch up with some things. I had a lot of stuff to do with my mom and stuff. So I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things. Y'all have a good one. Thanks so much for being here. And I really appreciate it. You're originally from Kentucky. Ooh, class will start soon. Okay. Bye, y'all.